Hi, this is Josh, and today we're going to talk about some of the settings that you're going to want to set as soon as you get your Grenadier. So I'm going to go over a couple of things in the car because it's a little easier to explain on the menus. So let's get started. The first thing you'll notice is when you first turn on the car, you hear a lot of sounds. And some of those sounds you can actually lower the volume on. And so that's my first setting that I'm going to recommend. And that is going to Settings, Acoustic Settings, and you have choices for PDC, which is the park distance control sound, the input sounds, and the warning sounds. So we're going to change the warning sounds. I already have it to low. You may find yours is probably at middle, but by turning it low, that just minimizes some of the warnings that you get repeatedly, like the overspeed warning that we'll talk about in just a moment. So then you back out of that. Input sounds, I have at 2, and those can be set. Those are the sounds that you hear when you're navigating the menus, and so you can set that as you desire. And then PDC sound is the sound for the park distance control, and those are the beeps that you hear when you're backing into a parking place or you're pulling out of a parking space, and that is the distance sensitive. So that's the setting for park distance control, and you can have that pretty much whatever you want that's comfortable for you, because you're only going to hear it when you're parking and maneuvering in a parking lot. So it's not as critical as, for instance, the warning sounds. And the warning sounds, if you really want to be warned, then you can leave them louder, but I just think you'll find that you'll be happier if you set them to low. There are other acoustic settings which can be used and tailored to your needs. Basically, the volume that you want the radio to be when you first start it, and how you want it to minimize. Like if you're getting a command from the car, the volume of the audio will drop so that you can then hear whatever the warning is. And then also speed dependent volume, which means that as you go faster and there's a little more wind noise, the volume of the radio will increase, and you can tell it what kind of an incremental increase you'd like. And I have that just set nominally to 2. And then you can also have a boost for notification volume. So these are all settings that you can use, and I recommend that you tailor them to your desire, because it just makes it a little more livable as a system. Because you'll find the Grenadier has a lot of warnings, beeps and boops and ticks, and you want to emphasize the ones that you really want to know about or need to know about, and de-emphasize the ones that are less important or sometimes annoying, like the ADAS overspeed limit. That's the one that seems to drive people the craziest. And again, you can turn that off every time you get in the car. At the moment, every time you get in the car though, it resets and turns back on. And the way that you fix that is by setting a favorite button, and a lot of dealers are doing this for their customers so that they don't have to figure this out. You go to Settings, General, and then down to CCI Favorite. And what I have for it, you have a preset list of choices that you can make, and we have it for Settings ISA, for the Settings Intelligent Speed Warning or Intelligent Speed Assist, because that's the one that you'll want to go into and disable every time you get in your car until you can permanently set it. There's a software update that's coming in a few months that will allow you to turn this feature off to disable the audio warning. The feature itself won't deactivate, but the audio warning can be disabled, and that's the thing that seems to get everybody most annoyed, because every time a speed limit changes, if you're 1 mile over that speed limit, you'll get a warning, and it gets on your nerves after a little while. So making sure that this is chosen as your preferred favorite button, then the favorite button right here on the center of control, they call it the custom control interface. Yeah, custom control interface, CCI. And all these little acronyms, I always forget them. But it allows you to have a quick setting. So if I push the favorite button, it takes me directly to the menu where I have the overspeed warning, and each time you'll get in the Grenadier, you'll just want to switch that off. It's that simple, but it's about 3 or 4 menus deep, and it's better to have that set as your favorite button. So that's why if your dealer hasn't set that for you, you can either ask them to set it for you or go into the general vehicle settings. So the next thing that you want to set is locking and unlocking preferences. And that's found under Vehicle Functions, Central Locking System, and you have choices here. Drive away locking, which is the car will lock itself as you're driving away. You have selective unlocking, which you can choose all doors or just the driver's door, so that when you turn the car off and remove the key, one or all of the doors will unlock, excuse me. One or all of the doors will unlock. And I have it set to all doors, but if you live in a place where you want only your door to unlock when you take the key out, then you can choose driver's door, and that's what this setting is for. Coming home light timeout. When you take your key out and your headlights have been on, they'll remain on for a choice of up to 80 seconds and as little as nothing. So you can choose how many seconds you want your headlights to stay on. So I just chose 60 seconds. Similarly, if you unlock your car, the lights will come on and they'll stay on for 60 seconds or whatever you set. Again, you can set it up to 80 or down to nothing. But it can be helpful if you're approaching your car and it's dark, you unlock it, it will light up and those lights will stay on for 60 seconds as I have it set now. Remote lock feedback is personal choice. You can have nothing, it'll just lock or unlock. You can have the lights flash and the horn, or you can just have the lights flash. Now, I find when you unlock the car, the headlights come on and you hear the click of the locks. When you lock the car, it's handy to know that the car got locked because it only beeps when you lock the car. So it doesn't beep when you unlock the car. And that's how you can tell that you hit the correct button on the remote control. Because sometimes I find that I hit the wrong end of the remote control. So beep equals it locked, no beep equals it unlocked, and the headlights come on for both of those, and that's also a setting. So I chose lights and horn, but you can choose any of the above. But it's just a good idea for you to review these settings and set them up the way that you want. I have auto door unlock turned on, but I have relock remote unlocked door turned off. And this is the setting that you can experiment with, but basically if you have this setting enabled, if you unlock the car and you don't open the door within 10 or 20 seconds, the car will relock itself, thinking maybe you made a mistake. What I find in practice is that I unlock the car as I'm approaching and I reached in my pocket because I've got my hands full of things, and then right when I get to the car, it locks. So I disabled it because it was less help than I thought it might be. So car doesn't automatically lock itself, and I'm fine with that. But again, a setting that you'll want to review under Vehicle Functions, Central Locking System. There are a lot of different settings in the central instrument panel, and those are just the ones that I think you need to set immediately when you get the car, but you should spend some time on all the different settings and kind of customize your Grenadier to the way that you want it to work. And I did a separate video about the infotainment system and the menus that you might want to look at. I'll leave a card up above so that you can link to that video. But those are the ones that I think that you probably will want to set as soon as you get your Grenadier. Now, there's a couple other things in the car that are worth setting. One of them is the cabin lights. And this little button up here that just illuminates is required if you want the cabin lights to come on when you open the doors. So when you open the doors, we've got 2 lights in the front, 2 in the middle, and 2 in the rear. I have a Fieldmaster, so maybe the commercial versions of the Grenadier don't have the rear ones. But if you have this turned off, you get no cabin lights. And when I first got my Grenadier, I thought, wow, it's dark in here. And it's because I didn't have this switch pushed on. So you just need to push that switch so that you see the little light. And then whenever you open your doors, you'll have the interior cabin lights. If you have premium audio, you want to make sure that the subwoofer under the rear seat is in fact turned on. There were some Grenadiers that came from the factory and this little tiny button was pushed and the subwoofer was actually turned off. So people with premium audio weren't getting premium audio. I'll insert the clip of video of what to check. But if you have premium audio, you're going to want to flip up your rear seat and just double check to make sure that your premium audio is turned on, that your subwoofer is turned on. Because you'll notice a big difference if it's not. And then once it's turned on, you'll say, oh, okay, that does sound a little more premium. When I got my subwoofer, the on-off switch was not on. Just this little switch was turned off. So I was getting no subwoofer or bass whatsoever. And so the first thing I did was I found this, and I turned it on. But the fact that this is here is something you should know, because it wasn't set up by my INEOS dealer. It wasn't set up at the factory. In fact, it was even turned off. So just know that this is there, and it's something that you're going to want to go and set. And then brightness. There are 2 settings for brightness. Under General Display Settings, Display Brightness, there are 2 settings. One for headlights off and one for headlights on. And thanks to one of my viewers that pointed this out to me, because I was having a problem with it being too bright at night, and they pointed out that there's actually a setting that the system saves when the headlights are off and when the headlights are on. So you'll want to set both. So during the day when your headlights are off, it'll assume it's daylight. You probably want the display brighter because it's a little glary. And then when the headlights are turned on, you probably want the display to be a little dimmer because it's dark out. And I think that's great because that solves a problem that I was having and I didn't know that it had a solution. So when you go into display settings, the display brightness, just turn your headlights on, make a setting, turn your headlights off, make another setting, and you'll see the difference. It shows in percentage of brightness. So I'll leave it 30% for night and 90% for daytime. Another thing that you'll want to check is if the rear doors are set for the child lock, because most cars now have the feature where you can flip a little switch in the door to lock the inside so that kids can't accidentally open the door while the car's moving. And you just want to check. I'll put up a little picture of where the switch is, and you just want to check to make sure that it's set the way that you want it to be set, so that if you have adults that normally travel with you, you can leave it so that the doors will open, or you can flip the switch and the door will only be able to be open from the outside. And one bonus tip, and that is when you turn off the car and you lock the door, you'll hear the honk and the headlights will stay on for the 60 seconds. That's what I have set. But if you press the key one additional time, it will beep once more and the lights will go off. So a lot of times if I don't need those headlights to stay on, I just click the button a second time. Conversely, if you unlock the car, the lights will come on, and then if you hit it a second time, they'll go off. So that's it. That's just a quick list of things that you're going to want to set when you first get a Grenadier. And there are many other things in the menus, as you can see, that will help you customize your experience with the Grenadier. The software update for ADAS overspeed warning is due to come out by the end of the year, and it's only going to let you permanently switch off or set and forget the overspeed warning sound, which frankly a lot of people will be very happy when that's possible. And in the meanwhile, you have the favorite button setting, so that normally what happens is the first time I hear the click, it reminds me to hit the favorite button to switch the menu. It does take a couple of steps, but you know, the day will come when that'll be rectified and we'll be happy campers. It's a good feature. It's the implementation that I question just a little bit. So I hope that helped you learn a few things about your Grenadier, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.